team rising think will happen during tonight's Democratic debate in Nevada.
Julia Manchester is political reporter for The Hill. Gabby Orr is a White House political reporter for Politico. Welcome.
Good to see you guys.
Nice.
Two great friends of the show. Let's talk about, all right, the debate is tonight, Julia. I mean, I think all eyes really are on Michael Bloomberg. And Bloomberg is the first guy just qualified for the debate. We were just talking during the break. He's got a weird prep routine where he's eating matzo crackers with peanut butter in between breaks. He's preparing very, very hard for the debate. What do you think his strategy is going into tonight? Is it to defend or is it to go on offense?
You know, we really don't know. This is the first time Bloomberg has obviously competed in a debate stage this cycle. He hasn't really given too many national interviews or print interviews, so we don't know how he's going to respond to the scrutiny. We do know, though, that he's coming in with a target on his back. I mean, literally from all sides. We know that all candidates have really telegraphed that they will go after Bloomberg. But one candidate in particular I'm interested in how she'll attack Bloomberg, and we haven't heard much about it, is Amy Klobuchar.
Yes.
She's a very, very good debater, and we know that there's been a lot of talk about these alleged sexist comments Bloomberg made, and I'm fascinated to see how her and Elizabeth Warren in particular address that.
That's a great point, because I hadn't actually thought about that. Gabby, a lot of the discussion has been focused. I mean, Elizabeth Warren tweeted, telegraphed the attack on Bloomberg. I think Bernie talked about it last night during that town hall. Very much, they're both pretty much going to go scorched earth. I think that was probably expected. Is the whole Democratic field going to be united against him? That's what I'm curious about.
It's a great question.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders have the epitome of everything that they're running against on stage. It's populism versus plutocracy. But if you look at Joe Biden, I mean, what's his strategy? Bloomberg right now he is the
he
greatest.
Doesn't know.
That's a good question. He is the greatest threat to Joe Biden, arguably. And so you would think that Joe Biden would go after him during tonight's debate. But what are the attack lines there? I mean, they're both running a fairly moderate candidacy by the Democratic Party standards right now. They're both, targeting some similar states as part of their strategy. And I think that they're both going after the same voting groups. I mean, Joe Biden is saying that he has the most support among the African-American community. Michael Bloomberg is out there getting mayoral endorsements by the day from African-American leaders. And obviously, his background, his track record on gun reform has been something that has really resonated with that community as well.
That's true.
So if Bloomberg's argument is that my money can beat Donald Trump, what are his soft spots? Like, where can people poke him in this debate?
Yeah.
I mean, I would say that we had a great line this morning in Playbook, actually, that the biggest threat to Michael Bloomberg is his own campaign. Because right now, the entire argument against him is that he's buying his way to the Democratic nomination. He's going to enter a debate stage tonight with the one thing that he doesn't have that has propelled his candidacy so far, and that is money. He has to present not only good policies tonight, but he has to be able to hold court with candidates who have been on this debate stage almost a dozen times already and who are seasoned debaters. I mean, Amy Klobuchar is a great example. She has just progressively improved each debate. So I think that he doesn't really have a great, broad argument about the point of his candidacy other than, well, I am the person who can beat Donald Trump because I have the funds.
That's the interesting thing, though, Julia. That's enough for a lot of people. You were just telling me you were down at a Bloomberg event, and people think he's electable. And you said from all walks of life, there were 900 people at that.
Yeah, whenever I've gone to these campaign events this year and talking to voters, for the most part, their number one priority is I want someone who can beat Donald Trump, whether they're a Bloomberg supporter, a Biden supporter, or a Sanders supporter. And I think with Bloomberg, what a lot of swing independent voters, and there's quite a bit of them in Virginia, what their they see the logic in going with Bloomberg is that he used to be a Republican. He's moderate on a number of issues, but at the same time, he's very active in this Democratic activist class when it comes to gun control or climate change. And they see him as being able to go toe to toe with Donald Trump, in part because they come from similar backgrounds. Both wealthy billionaires from New York. So it'll be interesting to see if that is enough to get him. He's going to have to make that argument on the debate stage, because I don't think it's enough for him to just say, I can beat Donald Trump. He needs to explain why.
Yeah, I think that's right.
One thing that he has said is that he will put his full financial weight behind the eventual Democratic nominee. Yeah. So the biggest question I have is, if you are already committing to spend what you've already spent, basically, on the Democratic Party's nominee, why are you in the race? I mean, why can't the enthusiasm be behind Bernie Sanders and also Mike Bloomberg's money be behind Bernie Sanders? I think that's a big question that he's going to get asked tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that both Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders have been kind of handling the question in a weird way. They're saying, well, we should refuse his money. He's not actually giving you the money. He's spending it. He's pledging to spend it on television ads. We were talking earlier in the show about the way that Bloomberg has said that with views like mine, I can't get nominated in the Democratic Party.
He openly said this about a year ago.
Just about a year ago.
Yeah.
Is he right about that? Or do you think that voters just hate Trump so much that they're willing to overlook the fact that they disagree with Bloomberg on everything?
Yeah, I guess a year ago I would say that he would have been right about that. But if you look at what the priority for Democratic primary voters is, consistently in polls, it has been electability.
Yeah.
And I do think that in a general election, there is a valid argument that somebody who is more moderate, that somebody who has a history of working across the aisle, was once a Republican himself, might be the person who appeals to a broader group of the electorate than a socialist like Bernie Sanders.
What do you
I think Bloomberg might be seeing an opening in the fact that the moderate lane in this race is really cannibalizing itself. I mean, if Amy Klobuchar and Pete Buttigieg were the same candidate, they would have won New Hampshire. You know, their support combined would have beat Bernie Sanders. So I think he's going to try to barnstorm, I think, this entire lane to really prove that. And you could see that on Super Tuesday. I think Super Tuesday is obviously a bit more telling of the entire electorate than Iowa and New Hampshire.
What is funny, though, is that if you look at second choice for like Klobuchar and Pete Buttigieg supporters, oftentimes is Bernie. So like the way that these like whole second choice things work out, it's very, very interesting. What I'm really looking at with Bloomberg in the debate tonight is how he's going to be able to handle the questions around the questions about women and his business in particular, Gabby, because I think that is, as Julia pointed out, the most potent attack for an Amy Klobuchar and an Elizabeth Warren, and the moderators in particular are really going to pick up on it. He hasn't debated in 11 years since the last time he was on the debate stage, and he's a very prickly guy whenever it comes to actually answering tough questions. I mean, could it sink him with the electorate and just lead to one of those things that plays on cable over and over again?
Yeah, this is a high-risk situation for Mike Bloomberg.
And he's not Trump, who will just be like, I never did it. It's all
Trump.
fake.
It was Rosie O'Donnell. It's not going to happen. I will say that, Amy Klobuchar does have to be careful, though, when she goes on the attack, if she goes on the attack against Mike Bloomberg over his treatment of women, because he can shoot right back at her and say, look at the reporting about the way that you treat your staff.
And the comb.
And the comb. She does have to be very careful. I think that his biggest risk, again, tonight is just making an argument in terms of policy. I mean, what is Mike Bloomberg's candidacy about other than proving that money can buy your way into power in politics? And he's going to, we already know the attacks that he's going to face. We already know the attacks that he's going to launch against his opponents. But really, what's new about his candidacy? I'm curious to hear what his proposals are on healthcare, foreign policy, things that he didn't deal with often as New York City mayor.
But I'm not sure that's right, because that cuts against what you were saying earlier, that actually people don't care. Like a huge portion of the Democratic primary. You care, and there's a few people, which goes to an interesting question. Who's watching this debate? How many people are watching the debate? And what is the impact of the debate and the clips that come from it afterwards relative to the impact of the campaign spending that he's doing around the country? Julia, what do you think if you had to balance the two?
Yeah, it's hard to say, because I don't think people are tuning in real time to watch the debate. I think they're seeing clips, and a lot of these campaigns are kind of cherry picking which clips they send out.
It's more up to the cable producers the next day than anything else.
Absolutely. But for someone like Amy Klobuchar, I mean, she's raised $12 million since her New Hampshire debate, $1 million just hours after that debate. And talking to voters in New Hampshire, that debate and her performance in that debate was something that was brought up consistently. Joe Biden is someone who probably isn't his strongest on the debate stage, and a lot of voters brought that up as well. They said he's not as much with it on the debate stage, that in more of an intimate setting, that's when he's the strongest. So, I think this could be a major moment for a lot of these candidates. But Bloomberg, he comes with a lot of risks on this stage because he's not technically on the ballot in Nevada. This is more of a national test.
It is.
For him.
I'm really curious to see how it goes. All right, guys, stick with us, sit tight, and we're going to be right back after a quick break.